I took a DNA test for Christmas and discovered I was kidnapped as a baby. My parents bought me in Mexico and lied for 33 years. I, 33M, never thought a simple Christmas gift would shatter everything I knew about myself. It started last December when my wife got me one of those Ancestry DNA kits that were on sale. "It'll be fun to see where your family really comes from," she said, wrapping it up with a bow. I remember laughing, saying we already knew. My parents had always told me our family was mostly German and Irish with a bit of Scottish thrown in. I'd grown up hearing stories about my great-grandparents coming through Ellis Island, seeing the old black and white photos of stern-faced relatives in European clothing. I spat in the tube and mailed it off, barely thinking about it afterward. The results were supposed to take a few weeks, but I forgot about it in the holiday chaos. Then, in mid-January, I got the email. At first, I thought it was a mistake. The results showed I was primarily Spanish and native Mexican, with no trace of the German-Irish heritage I'd been told about my entire life. I called the company, convinced there was a mix-up. The customer service rep patiently explained their accuracy rates and suggested I speak with my family. When I showed the results to my wife, she was puzzled but not alarmed. "Maybe there's a family secret? Someone who had an affair?" she suggested. I called my mom, trying to sound casual. "Hey, got those DNA results back. Did you know we have Spanish ancestry?" There was silence on the line. Then she said something that made my blood run cold. "You need to come over. Now. Your father and I need to talk to you." The drive to my childhood home took 20 minutes, but it felt like hours. My wife offered to come, but something told me I should go alone. My parents were waiting in the living room when I arrived, looking like they'd aged a decade overnight. "Sit down," my father said, his voice hoarse. I'd never seen him look so defeated. My mother couldn't look me in the eye as my father spoke. "There's something we should have told you a long time ago. You're not biologically ours." I felt the room tilt. "What are you saying? I'm adopted." My mother started crying. "No, not exactly." What came next was worse than anything I could have imagined. In halting sentences, my father explained that in 1990, when they were vacationing in Mexico, they'd been approached by a man who offered them a baby, me, for $10,000. They'd been trying to have children for years without success. They were desperate, and they convinced themselves that they were saving me from poverty. "We loved you from the moment we saw you," my mother sobbed. "We wanted you so badly." I couldn't process what I was hearing. "Are you telling me you bought a baby? That I was trafficked?" "We didn't think of it that way," my father said weakly. "The man said your mother couldn't care for you, that you'd have a better life with us." "Did you ever consider that I might have been kidnapped?" I asked, my voice rising. "That someone out there has been looking for their missing child for 33 years. The look that passed between them told me everything. They had considered it, and they'd chosen not to look too closely. I left without another word. In my car, I sat shaking, unable to drive. The people who raised me, who I loved and trusted, had potentially stolen me from another family. I'd spent my whole life believing a lie. Update 1, 1 week later. I've barely slept since finding out the truth. My wife has been my rock, but even she doesn't know what to say when I ask her if my entire identity is a lie. After 3 days of not speaking to my parents, I called and demanded every detail they could remember about where they got me, who gave me to them, and what they knew about my origins. They were reluctant at first, ashamed, but eventually told me they'd been approached in a small coastal town near Veracruz. They couldn't remember the man's name, but my mother had kept a small blanket I'd been wrapped in, with what looked like initials embroidered in one corner, CMG. I've reported everything to the FBI. The agent I spoke with said cases like this are complicated, especially after so many years, but they're taking it seriously as a potential international kidnapping. They're working with Mexican authorities to search missing children reports from 1990. My parents are facing possible criminal charges. Part of me feels guilty about that. They raised me, loved me, gave me everything I needed. But another part is furious that they robbed me of my true heritage, my birth family, my identity. Update 2, 3 months later. The FBI identified 3 missing baby cases from Veracruz in the right time frame. 2 were girls, but one was a boy who disappeared from a hospital in January 1990, just weeks before my parents acquired me. They arranged for DNA testing with the potential family. The wait was excruciating. Yesterday, I got the call. The test confirmed it. I am the missing son of a family from a small village outside Veracruz. My birth name is Carlos Miguel Gutierrez. The CMG on my baby blanket. My biological parents are still alive. They never stopped looking for me. The FBI arranged a video call. Seeing my biological mother's face for the first time, seeing my own features reflected back at me, was overwhelming. She sobbed when she saw me, touching the screen as if she could reach through it. My father sat beside her, tears streaming down his weathered face. I don't speak much Spanish, and they speak little English, but somehow it didn't matter. Through a translator, they told me how I'd been taken. My mother had given birth at a rural hospital. A nurse had taken me for what was supposed to be a routine checkup, but neither the nurse nor I ever returned. They filed police reports, searched everywhere, but the authorities didn't do much. They were poor, rural people without connections or resources. I have siblings, 3 brothers and 2 sisters, all younger than me. They grew up hearing about their missing brother. They've been searching for me online for years. My parents, the ones who raised me, have been arrested. They're facing federal charges related to kidnapping and trafficking. Despite everything, I still find myself worrying about them. I've hired them a lawyer, which has caused tension with both my wife and my biological family, who don't understand why I would help them. Update 3, 6 months later. I'm writing this from Mexico, where I've been staying for the past 2 weeks. Meeting my biological family in person was surreal. My mother couldn't stop touching my face, my hands, as if confirming I was real. My father is quieter, but I see how he watches me, trying to find the baby he lost in the man before him. My siblings have been amazing. My oldest sister speaks good English and has been helping me learn Spanish. We have the same laugh, the same mannerisms that I never got from my adoptive parents. There are photos of me all over their home. Age progressions they had done over the years, missing posters that have faded with time but were never taken down. The local media got wind of the story. It's been overwhelming. I'm apparently something of a local miracle here. People stopped my parents in the street to congratulate them. A newspaper called it the return of the lost son. Meanwhile, the legal situation with my adoptive parents continues to evolve. They've been offered a plea deal, which would mean significant jail time, but not the maximum sentence. My biological parents want justice, but they've also shown surprising compassion. They gave you a good life, my birth mother said through my sister. For that, I can find some forgiveness in my heart. My wife flew down last week to meet everyone. Watching her with my biological family, seeing how they immediately embraced her, made me realize how much I've gained even as I've lost so much. I'm planning to move my primary residence to Mexico for at least a year. My job has agreed to let me work remotely. I need to get to know this family, to learn about the culture and heritage that was taken from me. I need to become fluent in the language that should have been my mother tongue. My adoptive mother wrote me a letter from jail. She said they never meant to hurt anyone, that they truly believed they were giving me a better life. Maybe that's true, but it doesn't erase the decades of pain they caused my real family. It doesn't change the fact that they knew what they did was wrong and chose to build their happiness on someone else's suffering. I don't know if I'll ever fully forgive them. I don't know if I should. What I do know is that I have a second chance most people never get. I have 2 families now, one built on love but founded on a terrible lie, and another connected by blood and a bond that even 33 years of separation couldn't break. Identity isn't simple. I'm still the person I was raised to be, but I'm also discovering parts of myself that have been there all along, buried under layers of deception. I catch myself making gestures that mirror my biological father's, using phrases that echo my sister's way of speaking. The DNA test that was meant to be a simple Christmas gift didn't just tell me about my ancestry. It returned me to the people who have been searching for me my entire life. And for all the pain and upheaval, I can't regret that. Sometimes the truth destroys what we thought we knew. But sometimes, from those ashes, something even more precious can emerge.